Pleasant Sunday, high 78. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Your next news update is at 8:30. Continuous coverage of news, traffic, and weather at 560theanswer.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues now on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Papa Nicholas Coffee. Papa Nicholas Coffee, a family tradition since 1897.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
It's Ladies Hour here at AM 560. The Answer. Amy Jacobson here. Peggy Kaczynski. Hello.
Good morning.
So good to see you again.
What am I doing here? Where am I? No, I'm kidding. It's great to see you.
Yeah, good seeing you too. We used to work together at NBC5. You're still there doing specials. Award-winning journalist, sportscaster.
Yeah, right.
Well, you are. You've won
Still
Emmys.
breathing.
Still breathing. Still there.
Yeah, still there. Still working a handful of days a year.
And you do have a podcast, which we're going to talk more about at 8:35. And I look at this. I have a beautiful picture of you and your son, Jason.
Aww.
Isn't that great?
Yes.
The sportscaster and her... Wait, the sportscaster
and her son.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not a hard title. It's hard for me to read some days.
Yeah, they just started senior year of high school yesterday.
Really?
Oh, Lord, yes.
Where did the time go?
Oh, I know.
Wow, wait, do they go to St. Ignatius?
Yes.
Oh do you drive them down there, or are they
no,
driving
they
themselves?
drive themselves now. Oh, yes, right.
That's
I'm on my
pretty
knees
scary
every
stuff.
morning.
Oh, I know. Isn't it awful?
Please.
My son went to ride his bike yesterday to get something at CVS on Southport, and I'm like, don't take Byron, take Grace.
Oh, yeah,
there's
I'm
a
doing
light
the same
there.
thing.
It's awful.
Yeah, I do the exact same thing. I said, where did you turn off? Don't turn off there. You got to go 2 more blocks, and then it's okay to turn off. I know.
Oh, it's been crazy. We've had a crazy week, of course, with President Trump, who always seems to deliver. When he doubled down, the Jewish people shouldn't vote Democratic, and he talked about the Prime Minister of Denmark being nasty because she called the possible sale of Greenland absurd. Here's a highlight reel.
No president has ever done anywhere close to what I've done. I have been responsible for a lot of great things. I'm wonderful for the USA. I am the least racist person ever to serve in office. The love for me, and me maybe as a representative of the country, but for me, I was right, and just about everybody admits that. I was put here by people to do a great job, and that's what I'm doing. No president has done what I've done. I am the chosen one.
So it was a little crazy, it was a very strange interaction with reporters. He also shared clips of a conspiracy theorist who called him the King of Israel, or the second calling of Christ. So with that, we welcome back to the program Chadwick Moore, former editor-at-large at Out Magazine and The Advocate, and the contributor to Playboy, The New York Post, and The New York Times. Good morning, Chadwick. How are you?
Hey, good morning, ladies. Doing great. How are you today?
Good. So how did you process that moment in time with President Trump?
I mean, it's hilarious. My favorite was the chosen one comment, which was, it was really funny. He was talking about working out a trade deal with China, and he sort of turned and looked at the sun, and his timing was perfect, and said, I am the chosen one. And then, of course, you had a lot of left-wing media spiraling out of control because they can't take a joke, and they really don't understand the idea of a conservative being actually very funny. So that's always nice to watch.
Yeah, like my co-host thought he was being tongue-in-cheek. He wasn't even looking up. He was kind of looking around like, I'm the chosen one, as if reporters were supposed to laugh or something.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Now, okay, so he's been quiet. Yesterday, nothing. Didn't hear a pin drop. And Ivanka and her husband, Jared, have been exceptionally quiet on this issue, especially when it comes to, Jewish people are disloyal or ignorant if they vote for Democrats.
Right. Well, the Israeli people seem to love him, and he's done a lot for Israel. And he, just the fact of moving the embassy into Jerusalem. So I'm sure that if maybe it was a little harsh thing to say, but he's right. He's trying to talk about how his strong support for Israel and the Israeli state. And I know a lot of Jewish Americans who don't understand why so many American Jews vote Democrat. And especially you see the party going in, and I noticed this with the British Labour Party years ago when they started being very sort of forthright in their anti-Semitism and saying very uncomfortable things about Jewish people. And I thought this is going to come to the Democratic Party any day now. And look at where we are today. I mean, what you see coming out of the party is sort of shocking. What you hear about Israel, especially from the so-called squad, which are now basically the face of the Democrat Party.
Yes. And okay, so today we have a coworker, Joe Walsh. I don't know if you've heard, Peggy, but he probably more than likely is going to announce a presidential run against President Trump. And I've been texting with Mr. Walsh this morning because I thought it'd be a good idea to have him come on the show, but he's off. He's on vacation this week. What do you think? Do you think he'll even scratch at 1%? And do you think this might be a publicity stunt, Chadwick Moore?
I don't think he'll scratch at 1%. I hope it's not just a publicity stunt. The only place where I think he resonates is when he talks about spending, or where he might resonate with anyone. Of course, the Never Trump community is large and diverse. There's at least tens of them out there, maybe as many as 50. And he one thing he said that he's correct is that the one time that conservatives did kind of turn on the president was for the omnibus spending bill of 2017. But then, and if you look at when Joe had an op-ed in the New York Times last week, sort of playing with this idea of primarying the president. He then kind of jumps into these left-wing talking points about white nationalism and racism and attacking the squad. And conservatives not only don't buy that by and large. I mean, President Trump has a massive approval rating among Republicans, but it buys into the worst parts of the left and the media. And it's maybe he'd be more effective if he didn't go that route. The last time that an incumbent was primaried, and it may have even affected the outcome of the election, was Pat Buchanan when he tried to primary George H.W. Bush in '92. Mm-hmm. I don't really think that Trump is vulnerable to a primary attack, and I think that it's going to hurt the party.
Yeah, and also Mark Sanford. I mean, he was in Iowa yesterday, and he said, "I love the Buckeye State."
The Buckeye?
No, we're the Hawkeye State. I'm an Iowa Hawkeye. So, I mean, do you think he's going to run too?
I'm a Hawkeye as well.
Oh, you are? There. What year? What year did you graduate?
2005.
Oh yeah, I was right with you. I think I served you a drink at Sports Column. Sure I did.
I'm sure you did. I used to hang out at Sports Column all the time.
See?
Wow.
The bar that's still there. No, yeah, I was there. I was probably... What year were you born then?
In '83.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
well, yeah.
wow.
We're kind of the same age, but it's just a little different.
Yeah, maybe 20 years difference.
So is Mark Sanford, does this a publicity stunt for him too? I mean, he's actually in Iowa though, so that makes me think that this might be for real.
Yeah, that does kind of add another level to it. But at any point, I mean, what else could it be but publicity at this point? I mean, if you go into the Never Trump world, look at Scaramucci. Like, what is he doing? He's looking for another 10 days of fame, and then they're just going to throw him away. One thing with the Never Trump people is, they think that if they just warm themselves up to the left a bit, that the left will forgive them, but they won't. They're using them for their own purposes, and they will toss them aside as quickly as possible. And I don't know if people just don't understand that or if they don't care. I would worry that if Joe tried to took a really aggressive primary approach against the president, that it might hurt his radio show. I mean, I don't know if his listeners will still want to tune in after that.
Yeah, he flipped on Trump. I mean, November 9th of 2016, he said, if Trump loses, I'm grabbing my musket. You in? And then he ended up, as recently as 2 weeks ago, calling the president a racial arsonist. So I know that he's lost some listeners on this show, but also I know, too, that if he does decide to run against President Trump, there's going to be an opening here at AM 560 from 5 to 7 p.m. So he said that he'll make the announcement sometime this weekend.
Well, outside of Joe and Kanye West, who could give Trump a little run? I know
Kanye would have a better chance.
Kanye probably does, but really,
I mean, honestly, that's it. Because people, our kids' age, they keep saying, "Oh, Kanye West is going to be our next president."
Right. I mean, that is honestly for the younger generation. That is who they talk about. That is exactly who they talk about, and that's who they relate to. So, who can they relate to? That could run, and give Trump a little bit of a little run on the Republican side.
Yeah, with the younger generation, I really wouldn't know. I mean, a lot of you see this kind of like Andrew Yang appeal, which I don't know how much of that is a joke or how much people are serious about it. But yeah, Kanye, I don't know, maybe.
And Ben Shapiro, they love Ben Shapiro for his memes. Have you seen those, Chad?
Oh, right, yeah.
Those are something special. All right, also special, the new Popeyes chicken sandwich. I don't know if you've heard about this, Peggy, but there's a lot going on about Popeyes, and they've changed this. It's a political sandwich. Now they're saying because Chick-fil-A leans right, so to counter that, you can go to Popeyes because they lean left. And they're selling out of sandwiches, and one man took to Twitter because he can't get his hands on a sandwich.
And I was crying, and the tears from my sweat and my tears taste like chicken. They got a pickle on that chicken sandwich. They got a pickle. Listen to me. They got a pickle on the chicken sandwich that tastes like chicken. The pickle tastes like chicken. You hear me? It's a buttermilk bread.
He's chasing his boyfriend like she doesn't care.
It's buttermilk bread. And the bread's so soft that it just melts in your mouth. And I got the spicy chicken, Sister Grady.
So nobody could get their hands on these chicken sandwiches. We have one by us, and they're sold out of the chicken sandwich. But Chadwick, explain to us how this turned into a political situation, all thanks to a New Yorker article.
Right. So this would be the left, especially the what I call big gay or the LGBT industrial complexes, war on the chicken kingpin over at Chick-fil-A because however many years ago he had the audacity to support traditional marriage and be against the gay marriage fight. And the left can't let this go. They've never been able to let this go. And the fact that I think Chick-fil-A was just voted the favorite fast food restaurant in America, so that really bothers them. And if you get out of line with the left now wants to control what you eat. Who would have thought that George Orwell would be spitting in his grave if he realized that the 2 minutes of hate would become gay people screaming at chicken sandwiches. And now we have Popeyes trying to step in and capitalize on this. Now, I will say both places are delicious, and I'm originally from the South, so I do really like Popeyes.
Okay.
Sad to see.
Well, have you had this? Have you had the chicken sandwich? Have you had it yet?
I've not had this new chicken sandwich, no. But I'm open to trying this chicken sandwich from Popeyes. So now we are in the chicken wars. They've decided to counteract Chick-fil-A's Christian approach. And by all accounts, Chick-fil-A is, it's always been the employees are very happy there. They're closed on Sundays. They take care of their employees. But the left just can't handle one major business owner in this entire country having some center-right views based on his Christianity and his Christian faith. And so now Popeyes has jumped in. Isn't America great, though?
You know what's crazy about this? I don't ever remember a time when people were so aware or so interested in companies and which way they might lean politically. Like never
or
before.
Campaign donations.
I mean, it's unbelievable how much people are talking about it now. And I had this conversation with my kids the other day, and I said, stop. And if you took everything in our house and looked at the manufacturer or the company that made them and started checking to see their political donations, I said, that is a conversation unto itself. Why now, and why are people so selective? They only select a few to talk about. But if they looked in their own homes and their own purses and their own cars and really delved into it, I mean, it would not make any sense at all to what we wear, do, drive, anything. It's crazy now.
Oh, this is right. I have a theory about this. I'm writing about this right now. So look at what happened last week or 2 weeks ago with Equinox Gyms. So someone involved with the parent company had a fundraiser for Trump. Now the parent company is a massive real estate empire. They built Hudson Yards here in New York City. They do these massive projects. And there was this move to boycott Equinox, and it's like, why would anyone be surprised that a Manhattan billionaire who builds skyscrapers might vote Republican? Is this shocking to anyone? My theory is, and I think this is what happened with Chick-fil-A, is the left really relies on, they think that a lot of conservatives, especially in the Trump era, are secret and hidden. So if they discover that someone might be a Trump supporter or is holding a fundraiser, then they'll launch this media assault. But there's one thing about executives is these aren't people who and CEOs. These are not people who are usually in the media spotlight. They don't want media attention. So if you suddenly launch this media assault at someone and say, "Look at this Trump supporter," it's very upsetting. It's a big headache for them. They don't want to be in the spotlight, and so maybe they'll issue some statement condemning the president or condemning Republicans. But meanwhile, if people who just put it out there, it completely, and with business owners who put it out there, it almost completely disarms the left. Like, look at the MyPillow guy, or even with Chick-fil-A, right. It's only helped them. We had this week, Hasbro released a really, really funny version of Monopoly called Monopoly Socialism that just ridicules the left.
I saw that.
And I was looking around, and there's like some gripes from liberals on social media, but there's no call for a boycott. They're totally stunned because Hasbro just put this game out there. And I was thinking, what if they discovered that the Hasbro executive or CEO had been a Trump donor? Well, then there'd be calls for boycotts because they felt like they were revealing something about someone.
Well, is there any Republican group that's trying to take down Democratic businesses? Or is it just one-sided?
No, you never see that. This boycott culture is completely of the left and completely how they function. I can't think of when you do see this sort of Republican calls for boycott. Now, we had this example of that movie, The Hunt, which really annoyed me that you had the conservatives got it removed because actually, if you read the script and look at it, it wasn't really about liberals hunting Trump supporters. It was more like elites and everyday people, and it kind of looked like actually a funny movie. And social commentary. So the right is not immune to outrage culture and boycott culture, but 9 times out of 10, when you see the right do it, it's almost in reaction to the left, just doing what the left is doing and almost holding a funhouse mirror up to them. And but they know, but it's purely a culture that the left has created.
It's so strange because I mean, Starbucks. I don't agree with Howard Schultz on all of his political agenda, but I like Starbucks, so I still go to Starbucks. I still go to Dunkin' Donuts, but I go to SoulCycle, and SoulCycle and Equinox have the same owner who donated money to Trump. And people walked out that day that they found out that the owner of the company had a fundraiser for Trump. That's just so stupid.
It's so stupid, and it's even with the Equinox example. That guy's not even the CEO of SoulCycle. It's the parent company, so like he kind of probably has very little to do. And do they expect that there's going to be no Republicans in business? Like, well, what? Isn't that more the party of business? Yeah. And by the way, I thought the Equinox thing was funny because I was sort of thinking, like, if people go to Equinox, it's like the best gym. Like, I don't think they're going anywhere else.
It's really nice, and it's expensive for a reason, though.
Speaking of athletics like that, that's my arena. I am a sportscaster, and I have never seen more discussion than recently in sports with team owners. Yep. And team owners gave money to this party, and I said, well, really, this comes as a shock to you that now everyone, now you're outraged. What are you going to do? Stop supporting the Bears? What are you going to do? Stop going to Bears games? Stop going to Cubs games? Stop? No.
The McCaskies are Republicans, right?
Well,
I don't.
I would think most of the team owners.
Yes.
I would think most of the team owners are and always have been. So it shocks me now, but now it's turning. Something happened with NBC Sports. They started talking about how shocking that someone held a fundraiser. I think it was in Washington for a Republican. I don't know who it was for,
right.
And they decided that they needed to talk about it on the sports show. And I thought, wow, like where has this been for the past 50 years?
Yeah, why are we caring now?
It's amazing. Yeah, I don't know what they expect to come of it.
Yeah, and the viewers want to listen to that? I mean,
no. Sports is their release. Yeah, exactly.
That's why I didn't like when they started wearing pink at NFL games because I thought this is a different issue. I'm going to come here to escape. I don't want to think about breast cancer and people that I know that have had it. or, I just wanted to separate from it because then it just infiltrated into everything. And people called me a hater.
No, it just became more of a marketing to sell jerseys and to sell apparel. That's my complaint with that. And not
did the money go to the Susan G. Komen Breast Cancer
No, not enough
Foundation?
of it did, actually. Actually, because if it's a jersey sale, then some of that has to go into the players' coffers. And so only a small percentage was actually going into research. A larger percentage went under marketing. Well, you don't have to spread awareness of breast cancer. Everybody knows about breast cancer. So that's
now we need to promote lung cancer and heart disease. The number one killer of women is actually heart disease.
Yeah, but I digress.
Yeah, so sorry. We're having girl
Sorry,
talk.
Chadwick.
All right, well, Chadwick, so what else are you working on? You're working on how many articles right now? And where can we find them?
Oh, let's see. Working on a few articles right now. So I'll have something big in the Spectator about the progressive insurgency into our major cities and how that's happened, who's behind it, what the effects have been, as we've seen the massive, massive homeless problem on the West Coast and here in New York, crime on the rise, and how all these cities are experiencing the same problems and have basically the same people running around City Hall. So you can look forward to that in maybe a month or so, and then I have got a weekly column in the Spectator that Spectator USA that comes out every week.
All right, great, Chadwick Moore, always a pleasure. And I had no idea you were an Iowa Hawkeye, so you've increased the knowledge
we'll
and the respect level.